Greetings, comrades. My name is Shrek. As you can see around the title of this video, I've been getting on some people's nerves, particularly fundamentalists. And the reason why is because last week, sometime last week, late last week, after I made the last video, what happened was, the people in question, it was whoever was running the social media account for the Young Earth Creationist site, Answers in Genesis. And you may be wondering, okay, what are you doing with that site? A fundamentalist and everything. Okay, well the thing is, when you're part of when you follow a large group of a large amount of Christian, or mostly Catholic but Christian pages and science pages or archaeology pages like I do, you sometimes get random posts and stuff from these guys coming in. Okay, it's very strange. But I decided to just mostly ignore and just see what they say and see if it makes any sense, whatever. Their arguments for the 66 book Bible, or the 66 books in the Bible, is a joke. Okay. Anyway, so what happened was they released an article a little while back, which was basically an attack on the Pope, as usual, in which you see Pope Francis a little while back made a bunch of comments concerning sea level rise and the flood. And for some reason, Answers in Genesis seemed to think that this was the Pope predicting a literal repeat of the flood, and this is a proof that the Pope is wrong and a liar, and that he's not there by God's will, in his position by God's will. And of course, this is a load of rubbish, and there were plenty of people in the comments who seemed to agree with Answers in Genesis. So I immediately went in to stick up for the Pope. And okay, I'll admit, maybe my words were a bit harsh towards Answers in Genesis. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember specifically what I said. It was something along the lines of, congratulations, you've taken something out of context. That's not what the Pope said at all. He wasn't referring to a literal repeat of Genesis. You need to draw the line where you interpret literal from metaphorical. He was referring to how this would affect billions of lives. You need to stop acting like the atheists who take parts of the Bible out of context to try and prove us wrong. I said something along those lines, and when you Facebook, when you say congratulations, immediately it gets a weird thing that if you tap on it, and you get like the little small things of confetti and little smiling balloons rising up, like turning around and everything. Okay. And then I spent the next 20 minutes or so going through the comments, basically disagreeing with every single person there who was trying to say, yes, this proves the Pope is wrong and that he's an antichrist or whatever. And I was going through that, and I was most of them hadn't had time to respond. Some were trying to respond, but I was completely decimating their entire argument. And then all of a sudden I get a notification that says this post has been removed or something. Like, what? So I refreshed the page, and it turns out that the Answers in Genesis blocked me, which was it was quite amusing, really. I mean, obviously there's more than one Young Earth Creationist ministry out there. Some of them, from what I've seen, they're a bit more tolerant to others than most. As I said, Answers in Genesis, it's fundamentalist, really. It's Protestant, and then you have others like the other big one, Creation Ministries International, which are very strongly Protestant. Now, I've disagreed with Creation Ministries International several times, mostly about the Shroud of Turin's authenticity, which they disagree with, and I usually get involved in arguments with them. And honestly, I used to consider them maybe more fundamentalist than Answers in Genesis, because Answers in Genesis went onto their site, and they said, we're non-denominational. Like, some people say, okay, that's still Protestant, but the point was they weren't strongly towards any denomination. In fact, when you had Catholic writers working for them, I thought, okay, well, that shows that, okay, so they're trying to focus more on the scientific side of their beliefs instead of just taking the Bible literally and everything. And then I went onto their statement after I went onto their website after this to see, wait, what changed? And it turns out that they retracted that claim. They said, and now they're very strongly Protestant. I don't know if that means any of their Catholic authors are still there or not. Probably not. And so this was a very big surprise for me, because although I've had a lot of disagreements with fundamentalists over certain things, the idea that this almost liberal creationist page, fundamentalist page, would block me out of service by suddenly becoming very, very, okay, not conservative, because they're far from conservative, but some becoming very, very far Protestant. Yet the site that's actually very strongly Protestant wouldn't ban me from following them or liking them or whatever I was going to do to them, like a comment on their post, whatever. The fact that this more traditional fundamentalist compared to the more liberal fundamentalist, the fact that this more traditional fundamentalist site wouldn't block me, they'll dislike me for disagreeing with them, but we'd have a sort of mutual understanding of being respectful towards one another. Yet then you have this liberal fundamentalist page which does block me for disagreeing with them, even though this isn't the first time I've commented on anything they said, and I've been almost like, this isn't the first time I actually disagree with them about the Pope. I did the same thing when the last time, I think it was like maybe almost a year ago, last time they released the same article, and I disagreed with them about it. They didn't block me. In fact, I don't think anyone really confronted me about that. But the fact they do it now, I guess it kind of shows, it's, as I said, it's a bit of a surprise. Okay, it really is. This is the equivalent of a Protestant side blocking you for disagreeing with them, but a fundamentalist side not. One you interpret as being more strict, more anti-Catholic than the other, but it's the stricter, and it's the one that you see as strict anti-Catholic actually being more tolerant of your beliefs and disagreements with them, which is very strange. Very strange at all. And yeah, I mean, like, I know they're not, I don't hate Arts in Genesis for blocking me, or everyone who works there for blocking me or anything, because I know it's just a guy who works on the social media page. But it's very strange how, like, they changed it at the end of March, their conditions apparently. So I'm wondering what happened to them since that they decided to suddenly just reject this almost neutral theology page towards being strongly Protestant. It's very odd. And concerning the thing I wanted to make about the drowning Eden and burning Eden thing. Okay, because I'm not saying actually what this title is at this point in time. Basically, as I hinted in one of my earlier videos about the Eden blooms in crisis, a little while back when my plant, my Thanksgiving cactus, Sabrina, was blooming, I said that she was basically becoming a little bit withered and stuff, and I thought that was because I wasn't giving her enough water, so I'd water a lot more. But it turns out that was actually a combination of the fact that when plants bloom, their leaves usually shrivel up because they're transferring nutrients from the leaves to the flowers. It's a natural thing. However, she was already receiving enough water as it was, and because of the problem with my window, with the ventilation, all the humidity would stay inside, which meant that my plant was actually getting more water than normal. And so when I realized this, saying why she's still drooping, I realized, okay, she's actually getting too much water. I then did a very, very stupid thing. Okay, that was actually the second thing I did. First thing I did was I tried to drain as much water as I could out of her. So I'd like put tissues and stuff in the soil and under the soil to try and drain the water out. But it wasn't working. So I did a very stupid thing that no gardener should ever have to do, or should ever do, really. I put it in front of my heater, and I turned it on to try and heat up the pots to drain all the water out. I did not expose her completely to the heat. I did put something to protect the leaves and stuff from the heat, but I just tried to drain out all that water as best as I could. And it did work to a degree. And then I realized that, and then when I went onto the sites concerning the Thanksgiving cacti and how to raise them, I realized maybe I shouldn't have done that. So within the space of maybe a couple of weeks, I went from almost drowning my Thanksgiving cactus to almost burning her, which was definitely not the smartest decisions I've ever made. She's doing better now. She's getting the right amount of water and everything, which I don't know how sensitive the microphone is, but there seems to be some other megaphone outside. So that was meant to be the end of the first crisis in Eden, really. The fact of this combination of, okay, how much do I water her? How much do I not water her because of all the conditions in my room? The second Edenic crisis, as I'd say, actually occurred because I left her in the sun too long. And that's quite problematic because, you see, the problem is that these aren't normal cacti, okay? Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter cacti are not normal cacti. They don't live in the desert, they actually live in the rainforest, which means that they usually they're used to more dappled canopy environments, so not full-on sunlight. Which was a very big mistake of mine, because compared to my last accommodation, I only get maybe a couple of hours of sun a day. This one I get far more because of the direction my window faces. And the problem with that is that it basically means my plant's exposed to full-on sunlight for a very long period of time. Now, Susanna, my Easter cactus, is perfectly fine. She's adapted to this from this canopy environment to a full-on sunlight environment. She is fine. Sabrina though, no, not at all. Let me show you what she looks like right now. Yes, I don't keep her by the window anymore because of what the sun's done to her. You see these purplish leaves? These purplish leaves are a sign that she's basically been in the sun too long, and she started removing the chlorophyll from her leaves and replacing it with something else that's purple to stop her suffering any damage. If I let her out in the sun too long, she would actually start burning. I mean, she is green still, like over here. Okay, that green at the bottom, that's the color she used to be all over. And so I realized after several months that I've been leaving her in the sun too long. And so that's why I put her over there, not on the windowsill anymore. I'm trying to keep her in a little bit of a dark environment to help her recover. And she seems to be recovering. But the point is, I almost burnt. Okay, after I almost drowned and then dehydrated Yasmin here, or Yasmin. Sorry, Sabrina. I then almost burnt her alive in the sun, which is a bit annoying. Again, you typically imagine cacti as not needing much water supply, but being in the sun a lot. Not with these ones. These are tropical plants. I mean, fortunately, because of the warm environment, it means that I don't need to keep an eye on the temperature in my room too much, because initially when during winter it was very cold and I thought that was actually damaging her because the temperature was dropping below freezing on my windowsill. But it's definitely the sunlight now which is causing the problem. She's a bit droopy, unfortunately, but I think she's just now recovering mostly from her blooming earlier this year. But again, she seems to be regaining some of the color in her purple leaves, as you can see. Some of the leaves are a combination of purple and green, so she's definitely recovering. So now I just keep her out of the sun as much as I can. On the other hand, considering Yasmin over here, actually, as I said before, broke off completely when the wind blew too hard. She's growing quite well. I mean, I know that you can clearly see which direction that window used to be here in my old accommodation because the windowsill was too narrow. She's curving back upwards now, so it shows that my attempts to try and straighten her aren't working. And Susanna Jr. on the other hand are growing a lot better. She's definitely blossoming. It's a few months too late, considering when Easter was. But as you can see, she's growing. She's got all sorts of little leaves and all little buds now, and also she's got, how many flowers? She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's got 8 flowers, but I think that this is the oldest one here. It's not growing as much anymore, which is understandable considering that that was the first flower she grew. But she's certainly got a few more buds growing there. And as you can see, her leaves do look very, very thin, especially on this side. Hold on. Like you can clearly see the stem in some of them in the middle, and that's because, as I said before, when flowers bloom, they usually do lose some of the nutrients and stuff in their leaves to try and support the flowers. So I shouldn't panic too much about the wilting. I just need to add some more water to make sure she's not in the sun too long. But she seems to be fine. And then Susanna Jr., okay, over here. As you can see, the small plant there, she's growing loads of little leaves from the initial one she grew. I mean, right now, I mean. Okay, as I showed you before, when she broke off from here, there was maybe 1.5 leaves there, and she went from those 2.5 leaves. From those 2.5 leaves, she's went to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So she's definitely growing, and I'm glad for that. So I'm definitely looking after Susanna and Susanna Jr. a lot better than I am Yasmin, unfortunately. I mean, like at the bottom there, she's actually grown so big. Susanna here has grown so big that, not sure if you can see it because of the lighting in this room, but she's actually started corking around the bottom of the leaves, which is basically her leaves stiffen, they become less green, they become browner, and they start turning into stems, which help support her. Even though she's a bit droopy, like as you can see, she's a bit droopy here. But hopefully when she stops flowering and her leaves thicken up again, she'll be able to stand more upright and everything. And then Susanna Jr. here, I've got to find a new pot plant for her, but she's got loads of little leaves growing, which is good. So I'm definitely looking after my plants well. I am asking for Saint Fiacre, one of the patron saints of gardening, for his intercession, for helping with my plants, helping my plants grow, especially for Yasmin over there. I'm definitely saying, look, can you please just help? I'm getting confused with plants, sorry. I'm definitely asking Saint Fiacre for help, especially Sabrina over there, saying, look, can you please help her not be wilted anymore? Can you please help her return back to normal colors soon? And again, she seems to be recovering. So this video is very much getting on fundamentalist nerves and looking after my plants and God's creation. I'm very glad for that. I mean, considering when I first got these plants, as I showed you in my first video, the It's Windy Here video, these plants used to be very, very small, just a few leaves. And now look at how they've grown. They've now got dozens of leaves, which I'm very glad for that. I'm very glad for that. I'm looking after my plants well after almost 2 years of having them, which is good. But that's really for this video. So, gardening tips: do not leave holiday cacti in the sun too long, and don't worry if they're wilting a little bit when they're blossoming. Just make sure you don't start like turning brown or anything in that process. And also expect the unexpected with fundamentalist sites. Some of them may outright block you for disagreeing with them. Some of them may not. Yeah, that's it pretty much for this video. Yeah, if you like this video, please give a like, please share my videos, please comment what you think of the videos, really want me to do. Please comment, please subscribe to my channel to see more content, please ring the bell to keep it updated with my Life University series, and also my flowers blossoming and everything. Next episode, well, it's just another typical random video I might do next week. Maybe I can show you more of the Sabrina's blossoming and everything. Sorry, getting confused again. Sorry, girls. Maybe I can show you more of Susanna blossoming, because her leaves are beautiful, and Sabrina's leaves over there are also beautiful. I can't wait to see mother and daughter over there blooming at the same time. That's gonna be wonderful. And yeah, so just pray for my plants that they may grow strong and healthy and beautiful and can be heirlooms. Maybe 100 years old. 100 years from now, they're gonna. If I become a saint, okay, and I use my plants as an excuse to pray for, as an excuse to like almost meditate, looking after God's creation and everything. Does that mean any cuttings from my plants will become relics? I could have living relics. Please let me know in the comments if that is an actual thing. If I could have literally living relics from plants, that would be awesome. But anyway, that's a discussion for another video entirely. So anyway, see you next video, comrades. Until then.